My dad can fix it, said the human boy to the alien diplomat stranded in the desert. The sun was high and hot over the endless desert. Ethan Cole squinted through the windshield of his dad's old pickup. The tires crunched over the dry sand and gravel as Jack Cole steered the truck along a small, lonely highway. Ethan had been riding with his dad all morning, listening to the wind whistle past the open windows and the distant call of crows. The desert seemed endless, a mix of yellow and brown with sharp shadows under the sparse bushes. It was quiet, except for the engine hum and the soft clink of tools in the back. "Dad, why are we even out here?" Ethan asked, his voice bright with curiosity. He leaned forward, resting his chin on the seat. "There's nothing for miles," Jack chuckled. He was a tall man with strong hands, tanned from years of working in the sun. His shirt was streaked with oil, and a streak of dirt ran across his cheek. "Sometimes, son, the best way to find what you need is to look where no one else goes," he said. "Plus, I like the quiet." Ethan smiled. He loved rides with his dad, especially in the old pickup. Jack could fix anything, Ethan thought, from a broken toaster to a leaky engine. He even joked that his dad could fix a spaceship if one landed in their driveway. He laughed quietly at the thought, and Jack glanced at him, raising an eyebrow. "Don't give me ideas," Jack said, smiling. "Last time you suggested fixing the town's water pump, I had to climb 3 feet into a mud pit. Not fun." Ethan laughed, pressing his small hands to the window. The desert stretched farther than he could see. Suddenly, he saw something that made him sit up straight. In the distance, half buried in sand, was a strange metal shape. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The edges glimmered in the sunlight, and a part of it seemed to float slightly above the sand. The shape was not like a car or a truck. It had curves and angles that made it look alive. "Dad," Ethan called, pointing. "What is that?" Jack slowed the truck and squinted. The desert sun reflected off the metal. "I don't know," he said slowly. He was experienced enough to recognize when something was not normal. "Looks like some kind of vehicle, but not like anything I've seen." As they got closer, Ethan noticed movement near the strange craft. A figure stumbled out of the sand. Ethan's eyes widened. It was not human. The skin was pale blue and smooth, with faint patterns like shimmering scales. The eyes were large and golden, watching them carefully. The alien seemed weak, and it leaned against the ship for support. Ethan felt a surge of excitement and fear. He had never seen an alien before, not even on TV in the news. "Dad, look!" Ethan shouted. "It's alive!" Jack stopped the truck and got out. He kept his hands raised slightly, not wanting to scare the creature. "Hello," he called softly. "Can you hear me?" The alien froze and stared at them, her golden eyes blinking slowly. She spoke in a voice that was strange but soft, almost musical. Ethan could not understand the words, but he felt the meaning. She was frightened, injured, and alone. Ethan stepped forward despite his dad's caution. "It's okay," Ethan said gently. "I'm Ethan. My dad can help. He fixes everything." The alien's head tilted, curious. She did not speak again, but she looked at Ethan for a long moment. There was trust there, or at least hope. Ethan turned to his dad. "Dad, she needs help. You can fix it, right?" Ethan said, his voice full of confidence. "You fix everything." Jack looked at the alien, then at Ethan. He felt a strange mixture of pride and worry. He had fixed cars, engines, radios, even a small generator for the school once, but he had never fixed a spaceship. Still, Jack had a calm way about him. He believed that problems were only challenges waiting to be solved. "All right, son," Jack said finally. "Let's see what we're dealing with." Ethan's face lit up. The alien watched quietly as Jack approached her ship. She tried to move, but the sand stuck to her feet. Ethan ran to her side. "You don't have to be afraid. My dad can fix it," he said. He reached out, holding her hand lightly. She flinched, but she did not pull away. There was something in the boy's simple trust that made her pause. Jack crouched near the ship, inspecting the strange surface. The metal was unlike anything he had touched before. It seemed alive in a way, humming faintly under his fingers. He frowned, thinking carefully. "Huh," he muttered. "Definitely not a car engine, but maybe the principle is the same. Find the broken part, understand how it works, and fix it." Ethan watched, wide-eyed. He wanted to help, but he did not know how. "Dad, do you think she'll be okay?" he asked. The alien glanced at him again, her golden eyes wide with cautious hope. Ethan felt a strange connection, as if she understood that he wanted to help. "She will be," Jack said. He gave Ethan a small smile. "We just have to be patient." The alien stepped back slightly, looking around at the empty desert. Her ship was partially buried, its curves and panels covered in sand. Jack and Ethan worked together, first clearing the sand and rocks around the craft. Ethan fetched tools from the back of the pickup, while Jack examined the panels and strange glowing parts. He talked aloud, partly to organize his thoughts, partly to reassure Ethan. "If this were a car," he said, "I'd say we need to check the fuel lines, the engine, and maybe the spark plugs. We don't have spark plugs, but maybe something similar exists here." Ethan laughed quietly. "What if it does?" "Then we improvise," Jack said. He smiled, tightening a bolt that seemed to float slightly in the air. The alien watched closely, fascinated. She had expected humans to be clumsy and violent, not calm and careful. She was beginning to see something unexpected. As the sun began to sink lower, painting the desert in orange and pink, Ethan brought water and small towels. He helped the alien cool off. She drank slowly, her long fingers brushing Ethan's hands. She still did not speak, but she nodded slightly. Ethan's heart raced with excitement. He whispered to her, "See, I told you, my dad can fix it." She blinked, and for the first time, Ethan thought he saw a small smile. Jack worked tirelessly, moving slowly and methodically. The alien's ship began to hum faintly as panels were opened and adjusted. Wires and glowing circuits responded to Jack's careful touch. Ethan helped where he could, passing tools and wiping sweat from his dad's forehead. The bond between the three grew quietly. The alien, the boy, and the mechanic in the desert were connected by trust and simple effort. The sky grew darker and stars began to appear. Jack finally sat back, wiping his hands. "We're not done yet, but it's starting to come back to life," he said. Ethan cheered quietly, his eyes sparkling with pride. The alien tilted her head, her golden eyes reflecting the first stars. She had expected nothing from humans, and now she saw their strength not in weapons or speed, but in patience, skill, and care. Ethan held her hand again. "Tomorrow we'll finish it," he said. "I know it, my dad never gives up." She looked at him, her expression softening. She did not fully understand, but she understood enough. Humans, she realized, were strange and unpredictable, and yet somehow stronger than she imagined. As the desert grew quiet, the three of them sat near the half-fixed ship. The wind whispered over the sand, carrying the faint hum of the ship's slowly waking engines. Ethan felt warm and safe. Jack felt a quiet pride. The alien, who had expected to meet only strangers and danger, felt something she had never felt before, trust in another species. The night was calm. The stars shone brighter over the desert, and in that stillness, a bond formed between human and alien. Ethan whispered again, almost to himself, "Don't worry, my dad can fix it." The alien watched him, golden eyes shining in the starlight, and for the first time she felt a hope she could not explain. The desert night carried a promise, that even in a lonely, harsh place, humans would stand and fix what others thought impossible. And for the alien stranded far from her home, that simple truth was stronger than any weapon, faster than any ship, and more surprising than anything she had ever known. The desert sun rose slowly over the horizon, painting the sand in soft orange and pink. Ethan was already awake, waiting near the old pickup. The alien, whose name he had learned was Leora, sat quietly on a blanket his dad had laid out. She watched the sky with wide, golden eyes, still cautious but less afraid. Jack came out of the garage, yawning and stretching. He had not slept much, thinking about how to get Leora's ship running again. "Morning, kid," Jack said to Ethan. "Ready to finish our job?" "Yeah," Ethan replied, bouncing on his toes. "And Leora can watch." He looked at the alien with a smile. She tilted her head as if considering whether she could trust his words. Ethan reached for her hand. "Come on, you have to see the garage." Leora hesitated, then rose slowly. Her movements were careful and precise, as if she were afraid the ground would hurt her. Ethan led her to the pickup and helped her into the passenger seat. Jack drove slowly to the garage, a small building on the edge of their property, cluttered with old tools, parts, and machines that had seen better days. Leora looked around with wide eyes. This was not what she expected. She had imagined humans as advanced but ruthless, with big laboratories and machines far beyond her own technology. Instead, she saw a simple garage. The floor was dusty and tools hung on the walls. There were oil stains on the floor and stacks of metal scraps in the corners. She did not hide her surprise. "This is your lab?" she asked, her voice soft and musical. Ethan nodded eagerly. "It's a garage," he said proudly. "But my dad can fix anything here," Jack chuckled. He opened the garage doors wide, letting the sun stream in. It's not fancy, but it works, he said. He walked around the ship, studying it carefully. First things first, we clean it up, then we see what's broken and what can be fixed with what we have. Leora watched silently as Jack and Ethan began their work. Ethan fetched small towels, brushes, and bottles of water. He cleaned the ship's outer panels, removing sand and dust. Jack opened a panel on the side of the ship, revealing strange, glowing lines and circuits. He frowned but did not panic. "Huh," he muttered. "These lines, they remind me of wiring in a car, sort of. The principle might be the same. Electricity flows, energy moves, something needs to connect the right way." Leora's golden eyes widened. She had never heard a human describe alien technology like that. She expected her own engineers to panic or give up, but this human, simple and calm, was already thinking of solutions. She tilted her head, curious and impressed. "You can fix it?" she asked quietly. Jack smiled. "I can try. If it doesn't work, we figure out something else. Humans always find a way." Ethan grinned. He liked saying his dad could fix anything, and seeing Leora watch made him feel proud. The day passed slowly as Jack worked. He tested panels, opened compartments, and adjusted strange components with care. Ethan handed him tools, asking questions along the way. "Dad, why does this light blink?" he asked, pointing to a small green glow on the panel. "It's like a check engine light," Jack said. "It tells us something is wrong. We have to find what makes it blink." Leora observed silently. She had expected humans to rely on brute force or quick solutions, but Jack worked slowly and patiently. Every move was deliberate, careful. He cleaned circuits, twisted small rods into place, and even used a magnet to move tiny components. Ethan watched and learned, fascinated. As the sun climbed higher, Leora decided to help. She floated slightly above the ground, using her hands to manipulate parts inside the ship. Jack watched, impressed by her skill. "Well, that's better than anything I could do," he said, smiling. Ethan laughed. "See, teamwork." For hours, the three of them worked together. Ethan ran small errands, fetching oil and rags. Jack adjusted and repaired, using clever tricks to connect parts that were not meant to connect. Leora began to trust him more with each fix. She had never met humans who could solve problems without advanced technology, yet here they were, making her ship alive again. By mid-afternoon, smoke had risen from a small vent. Jack waved a hand and used a fan to clear it. "That's normal," he said. "Just overheating a little. We'll fix it with some cooling." Ethan nodded, fascinated. Leora touched a panel lightly, and the glow dimmed slightly. She had learned a small trick from Jack, using gentle pressure instead of force. "Humans are strange," she said softly. Ethan giggled. "You mean my dad?" he asked. She looked at him, curious. "Humans," she said. "All of you, you are calm, patient, and you do not give up. Even with machines you do not understand." Ethan thought about it. "That's my dad," he said proudly. "He fixes what others think is broken forever." Jack worked until the sun started to set. The garage was quiet except for the hum of the slowly powering ship. Ethan cleaned up tools while Leora watched closely. She could feel the ship's energy changing. It was not fully repaired, but it was alive, responding to their efforts. She had never felt hope like this when stranded. "We're getting there," Jack said finally. He wiped sweat from his forehead and smiled at Ethan. "Not done yet, but close. Tomorrow we finish it." Ethan nodded, smiling. He reached for Leora's hand. "See, I told you, my dad can fix it." She blinked slowly, golden eyes reflecting the garage lights. For the first time, she felt that humans were more than she had imagined. They were clever, stubborn, and kind in a way that could be dangerous and powerful at the same time. That night, Jack and Ethan camped near the garage. Leora floated slightly above the ground, watching the stars through the open door. She had been taught that humans were violent and weak, but these two proved her wrong. Humans could think, adapt, and protect. She did not fully understand it yet, but she felt safe. Ethan leaned against his dad. "Do you think she'll ever go back home?" he asked quietly. Jack smiled. "Sure she will, but not the same way. We've shown her what humans can do. That matters more than she knows." Ethan nodded. He looked at Leora and whispered, "Tomorrow we'll finish it, you'll see." Leora tilted her head, listening to the boy's promise. She could not speak the words, but she understood the feeling. Trust, hope, friendship. The desert night was cool and quiet. The faint hum of the ship continued, a soft reminder that human effort could awaken even the strangest machines. Leora thought about her mission, about the galaxy she had come from, and about these humans who had no advanced technology, no armies, no laboratories, yet could fix what others thought impossible. She had never seen anything like it. Ethan curled up next to his dad, smiling. He felt proud of what they had done today. Jack rested his hand on his son's shoulder. He was tired but happy. The alien ship, half-fixed and glowing faintly, seemed to hum in approval. They had accomplished something that day, not just with tools, but with trust, patience, and simple human skill. As the stars spread across the sky, Leora drifted closer to Ethan. She reached out, touching his hand lightly. Ethan held her fingers carefully. "See," he whispered again, "my dad can fix it." Leora's golden eyes reflected the starlight, and she understood that humans were strange and unpredictable but strong in ways the galaxy could not measure. The night passed quietly. Jack slept, dreaming of engines and circuits. Ethan slept, dreaming of adventure and trust. Leora stayed awake a little longer, watching the stars, thinking of the world she had come from and the humans who had shown her something new. She had expected strangers and danger, but she had found patience, care, and skill. She had found hope. When the first light of morning touched the desert, Leora floated down and touched the ship's hull. It responded immediately, glowing brighter. Jack and Ethan were awake and ready. Today, she thought, the ship would be fully alive. Today, she would see the humans' true power, not in weapons or speed, but in patience, creativity, and stubborn refusal to give up. And as the sun rose, the desert seemed full of promise. Tomorrow, they would finish what they had started. Together, human and alien, they would make the impossible possible. The morning sun burned bright over the desert, making the sand sparkle like tiny crystals. Ethan Cole was already up, bouncing on his toes as he waited by the half-repaired ship. Jack Cole was leaning against his old pickup, sipping coffee, his eyes following the glowing panels of the alien craft. Leora hovered nearby, watching the humans with quiet interest. She had grown used to their simple ways, their patience, and their skill, but she still did not fully understand them. "Good morning, kid," Jack said to Ethan. "Ready to finish this thing?" Ethan nodded eagerly. "Yeah, the ship's glowing more today, Dad." "It's like it's waking up," Jack smiled. "That's a good sign. It means our work yesterday made a difference." Leora floated closer, her golden eyes shining. She spoke softly, her voice musical but careful. "Humans, you are strange. Your methods, they are not what I expected." "Yet they work," Ethan laughed. "My dad fixes everything. Nothing stays broken with him." Leora tilted her head. She had observed many species across the galaxy, but humans were unlike any of them. They did not rely on power or technology alone. They used patience, thought, and care. She found it unusual and intriguing. Jack got to work immediately. He opened panels, twisted wires, and connected glowing lines inside the ship. Ethan handed him tools, cleaned surfaces, and asked questions. "Dad, why does this light flicker now?" he asked, pointing to a small blue glow. "Flicker means something is not stable," Jack explained. "We need to check the connections, maybe tighten them." "Even small things matter." Ethan nodded, impressed by his dad's calm way of solving problems. Leora floated closer, assisting where she could. She had learned to trust Jack's methods, mimicking his careful adjustments. The ship's hum grew louder, steady, almost like it was alive. After a while, Leora finally spoke again, her voice hesitant. "I must tell you my mission." Jack paused, leaning on the side of the ship. Ethan stood quietly, curious. Leora's golden eyes looked far away, as if seeing something in the distance. "I am a diplomat," she said slowly. "Sent to judge if humans are worthy. My people, we wanted to know if your species could be trusted, if you could join the Council of Planets peacefully." Ethan blinked. "Judge humans?" he asked. "Like if we're good enough," Leora nodded. Jack raised an eyebrow. "So your people sent you here to see if humans are okay?" he asked. Leora nodded again. "Yes, I was to report and then contact my people, but my ship was sabotaged." Ethan's eyes widened. "Sabotaged? By who?" Leora hesitated. "Another faction. They do not want humans to join the council. They wanted me to fail. They tried to destroy my ship." Ethan looked at his dad, fear in his small voice. "Dad, will they come back?" Jack crouched to Ethan's level. "Maybe," he said calmly, "but we won't be afraid. We'll handle it. Humans protect what they care about. That's what we do." Ethan nodded, his fear turning into determination. "We can help, right, Dad?" Jack smiled. "We will. We fix things. We solve problems. We don't run from them." Leora floated closer to the ship's control panel, her fingers glowing slightly as she adjusted circuits. She had never seen humans act like this. Other species would panic, call for reinforcements, or flee. Jack worked slowly, carefully, as if nothing in the galaxy could scare him. Ethan helped wherever he could. The three of them moved like a single team, calm and focused. Hours passed. The ship's systems began to respond more fully. The lights glowed steadily, circuits hummed, and the panels seemed to settle into place. Leora watched, amazed. She had expected humans to be weak and careless. She had expected fear, mistakes, and frustration. Instead, she saw skill, patience, and courage. Humans were not what she thought. They were stronger in ways she could not measure with sensors or calculations. Suddenly, a strange vibration passed through the desert. The sand shifted unnaturally, and the temperature seemed to change. Leora's eyes widened. "They are here," she whispered. Ethan grabbed his dad's hand. "Who?" he asked. Leora floated closer. "The ones who sabotaged my ship. They do not want humans to succeed. They will finish what they started." Ethan felt a chill, but he did not let it show. He looked at his dad. "We can stop them, right?" Jack nodded, calm and steady. "We protect what matters. That's all humans know how to do. We'll handle it, son." Ethan's chest swelled with pride. He had learned from his dad that courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to act even when afraid. The vibrations grew stronger. Distant shapes appeared on the horizon, metallic and angular, moving across the desert like predators. Ethan watched them closely. "They look scary," he said. Leora's golden eyes glowed brighter. "They are advanced, faster and stronger than humans, yet humans, you do not fear them." "Why?" Jack stood straight, hands on his hips. "We don't fear strangers, we solve problems. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. It's what humans do." Ethan nodded, repeating quietly, "We protect them, we fix them, we don't give up." Leora studied them closely. She had never met such determination. She realized that humans were unpredictable, stubborn, and dangerous in a way her enemies could not understand. As the hostile ships drew closer, Jack and Ethan moved quickly. Jack opened panels on the alien ship, adjusting circuits, rerouting power, and preparing a few simple tools as weapons if necessary. Ethan ran errands, fetching cables, oil, and small devices from the garage. Leora helped, floating swiftly, her hands glowing as she manipulated the ship's core. The three of them worked in unison, calm but ready. "We can't outrun them," Leora said, her voice tense. "They will catch us if we try to fly." Jack shook his head. "We don't run. Humans stand their ground. We use what we have, think fast, and protect what matters. That's how we win." Ethan smiled, his small hands clenched in determination. "Yeah, my dad never gives up." Leora floated closer, watching carefully. She did not fully understand human courage, but she could feel it. It was strange and powerful. The hostile ships were now close enough that the ground vibrated under their engines. They were large, metallic, and sharp-edged. Beams of light scanned the desert, searching for the ship and its occupants. Ethan grabbed a small wrench, ready to hand it to his dad. "Dad, we can do this," he said. Jack gave him a calm nod. "We fix problems, son," Jack said. "We don't panic." "That's what humans do best." Leora's eyes widened. She had expected fear and weakness, but the humans stayed calm. They were not reckless, yet they were fearless in the way only humans could be. She began to see the truth. Humans were dangerous not because of weapons or speed, but because of their stubborn determination and willingness to protect others. The ships landed, kicking up dust and sand. Figures emerged, tall and angular, with tools and weapons unknown to Earth. They advanced cautiously toward the alien craft. Jack adjusted a panel and a strange humming filled the air. Ethan held Leora's hand. "Don't worry, my dad can fix it," he whispered. Leora tilted her head. She did not fully understand, but she felt the reassurance. Humans could not be measured by logic alone. Courage and care were weapons just as powerful as lasers. Jack, Ethan, and Leora prepared quietly. The hostile aliens moved closer, unaware that the humans had already set simple but clever traps around the desert, using the natural terrain, spare tools, and the ship's half-repaired systems. Ethan stayed calm, following his dad's instructions. Leora floated slightly above the ground, ready to assist. The desert seemed quiet again, but the air vibrated with tension. As the first hostile alien stepped forward, Jack whispered to Ethan, "Stay calm, watch carefully. Humans win by thinking, not by running." Ethan nodded. Leora's golden eyes glowed with understanding. She had thought humans were weak, primitive, and predictable. Now she realized they were something else entirely, clever, stubborn, and impossible to defeat with fear alone. The hostile alien stopped, sensing something in the desert. Jack smiled faintly. "They don't know what's coming," he muttered. Ethan squeezed his dad's hand. Leora floated closer, ready to act. They were small in number, and the humans were not armed with advanced weapons, but they had patience, skill, and determination. That was more than enough. The sun began to dip toward the horizon. The desert shadows stretched long, and the first part of the battle was about to begin. Jack, Ethan, and Leora were ready. They did not fear the aliens. They trusted each other. They knew humans could win, not because they were strongest, but because they never gave up, and they always protected what mattered. And in that quiet desert, with the hum of a half-repaired alien ship and the patience of a human mechanic, the galaxy's assumptions about humans were about to be challenged forever. The desert sun sank low, casting long orange shadows over the sand. Ethan Cole and his dad, Jack, worked quickly but calmly in the garage, finishing the final adjustments on Leora's ship. The air was tense. The hostile aliens had landed closer to their location and were searching the desert for the damaged craft. Ethan could feel the vibration of their engines through the ground. His small hands trembled slightly, but he did not let it show. He trusted his dad. He trusted Leora. He trusted the human way, calm thinking, careful planning, and action when it mattered most. "Dad," Ethan said, handing Jack a small wrench, "they're almost here." Jack nodded without looking up from a panel he was adjusting. "I know, son. Stay calm. We're ready. Humans win by thinking, not by rushing." Ethan nodded and turned to Leora. "You ready?" She floated slightly above the ground, her golden eyes glowing. She had never faced enemies like this before. Her species relied on advanced weapons and speed, but these humans had taught her something different. Courage, patience, and clever thinking were stronger than any weapon she knew. Jack finished connecting a glowing line in the ship's power core and stepped back. "All right. Systems are almost online. We'll have a few surprises ready for them." Ethan's eyes widened. "Surprises?" he asked. Jack smiled faintly. "We'll use what we have, old machines, fuel, and timing. It won't be fancy, but it works." Leora tilted her head. She had seen humans fix impossible things before, but now she was about to see them turn the desert itself into a weapon. The hostile aliens emerged from the dunes, scanning the desert with sharp, metallic devices. They were fast, strong, and had weapons that could destroy most vehicles in minutes. Ethan held his dad's hand tightly. "They look scary," he whispered. Jack crouched beside him. "Maybe, but we have brains, instinct, and courage. That counts for more than you think." Jack and Ethan moved quickly. They had set up simple traps using old machinery and spare parts from the garage. Piles of rocks were stacked carefully, connected to wires that ran into the sand. Jack had rigged old fuel tanks to explode when triggered, not to destroy completely, but to startle and slow the hostile aliens. Ethan watched, fascinated. This was human thinking, simple, clever, and unpredictable. Leora hovered nearby, helping by manipulating energy flows in the ship. Her golden eyes glowed brighter as she worked with the humans, learning their ways. "Okay, son," Jack said quietly. "When they reach this line, they'll trigger the first surprise. Watch and stay calm." Ethan nodded. The first alien advanced cautiously, scanning the desert. His armor reflected the setting sun. Suddenly, the pile of rocks tipped, connected wires pulled tight, and the fuel tanks ignited with a small explosion. Smoke and fire rose, startling the alien. It stumbled and fell. Ethan clapped quietly. "It worked," Jack smiled. "That's human thinking." Small, clever, unexpected. Leora tilted her head, impressed. She had never imagined that humans could use the environment itself as a weapon. More aliens approached. Jack and Ethan activated other simple devices, swinging metal beams, sudden bursts of water, and loud noises. The hostile aliens were confused, slowed, and forced to rethink their approach. Ethan handed tools to his dad, who adjusted the traps quickly. Leora floated near the ship's core, adjusting energy flows to support the humans' defenses. The ship hummed louder, reacting to the humans' efforts. One alien got too close, and Jack signaled Ethan. Together, they used a pulley system to tip a large sand-covered crate onto the alien's path. It stumbled, trapped temporarily, unable to advance. Ethan laughed quietly. "Dad, it worked again," Jack nodded. "Humans adapt, that's our strength. We think, adjust, and act." Leora studied their movements carefully. She realized that humans did not need advanced weapons. They needed patience, courage, and clever ideas. She had underestimated them before, but now she knew they were dangerous in ways her enemies could not measure. As the sun disappeared completely, the desert grew darker, but Jack and Ethan were ready. They used lanterns and small lights to signal the traps. Leora hovered above the sand, her glow guiding their movements. The hostile aliens advanced cautiously, scanning for danger, but the humans had anticipated their every move. Simple machines, ropes, and wires made the desert itself an obstacle course. The aliens were forced to slow down, confused by the unexpected defenses. "Dad, look," Ethan whispered. "They don't know what to do," Jack smiled. "Exactly, humans are unpredictable, that's why we win." Leora floated closer, her golden eyes wide. She had never seen such calm, clever coordination. She realized that humans were not strongest in weapons or speed, but in their ability to adapt, plan, and protect what mattered. That made them dangerous in ways the galaxy could not measure. One alien broke through a trap and advanced toward the ship. Jack was ready. He adjusted a panel on the ship, and a sudden burst of energy shot into the sand, creating a wall of light and heat. The alien froze, then retreated. Ethan cheered quietly. "My dad's amazing," Leora floated closer. She understood that humans did not need advanced technology to fight effectively. Cleverness, courage, and determination were enough. More aliens tried to surround them, but Jack had anticipated it. He had set up additional traps, swinging metal panels, small fuel bursts, and sudden changes in terrain using simple levers. Ethan helped trigger the devices at the right moments. Leora assisted by manipulating the ship's energy, guiding the humans' actions. Together, they created a defense that the hostile aliens could not predict. Hours passed. The hostile aliens were exhausted, confused, and slowed by the humans' clever tactics. They had expected to destroy the ship quickly, but the humans had turned the desert into a challenge they could not overcome easily. Leora watched closely, realizing that humans had a stubborn refusal to give up. They protected what mattered, even in impossible situations. She had never seen courage like this. Finally, the aliens retreated. They left the desert slowly, unsure if they would return. Jack, Ethan, and Leora watched them go, exhausted but victorious. Ethan hugged his dad tightly. "We did it." "We really did it," Jack smiled and ruffled his son's hair. "We did. Humans protect what matters. That's how we win." Leora hovered near them, golden eyes reflecting the desert lights. She had learned something important. Humans were not predictable, not weak, and not simple. They were clever, stubborn, and dangerous in ways her enemies could not understand. The desert grew quiet again. The ship hummed steadily, fully responding to the humans' adjustments. Leora floated closer, touching the panels gently. "Your species I did not understand before. Now I see, humans, you are not the strongest, not the fastest, but you are dangerous, in a way no one expected." Ethan smiled. "My dad taught me that humans never give up, we protect each other, we fix things that others cannot." Leora nodded slowly. She had been sent to judge humans, but now she had learned the truth firsthand. They were more than she had imagined. Jack leaned against the ship, wiping sweat from his forehead. "We didn't use advanced weapons or armies or big machines. We just used what we had, thought carefully, and acted when it mattered. Humans win that way." Ethan looked at Leora. "See, I told you my dad can fix it." Leora's golden eyes glowed softly. She understood now that courage, patience, and clever thinking were more powerful than most advanced technology. Humans could solve problems that others gave up on. Humans could survive, adapt, and protect what mattered most. As night fell completely, Jack, Ethan, and Leora sat quietly near the ship. The desert was calm, the stars shining brightly above. Ethan looked up and whispered, "We did it. We really did it." Jack nodded, proud and tired. Leora hovered nearby, golden eyes reflecting the stars. She had never expected to learn this lesson from humans. They were clever, stubborn, and impossible to defeat when protecting what they loved. The desert night carried a quiet peace. The humans had one, not with strength or speed, but with patience, cleverness, and courage. Leora thought about her home world and the Council of Planets. She would tell them that humans were not like other species. They were dangerous in ways that mattered. They were worthy of respect, and she had witnessed it firsthand. Ethan curled up near his dad, exhausted but happy. Jack rested his hand on his son's shoulder, smiling. Leora floated close, touching the ship gently. The alien craft hummed steadily, alive and ready. Together, the three had survived a threat that should have been impossible. Humans had proven themselves once again, resourceful, brave, and unstoppable when they protected what they cared about. And as the desert lay quiet under the starlit sky, Leora knew something had changed. She had expected strangers, danger, and weakness. Instead, she found humans who never gave up, who could fix the impossible, and who could defend against any threat with nothing but clever thinking, courage, and care. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. The desert morning was quiet and still. The sky was painted with soft orange and pink as the sun rose over the dunes. Ethan Cole and his dad, Jack, worked carefully on the last panels of Leora's ship. The night had been long and full of tension, but now the hostile aliens had retreated, leaving the humans and Leora in peace. The ship hummed steadily, fully repaired and alive. Ethan's small hands moved quickly, helping his dad where he could. "Almost done, son," Jack said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "We just need to finish these connections and check the main power lines." Ethan nodded, his eyes shining with excitement. "I can't believe it. The ship is alive," he said. Leora floated nearby, watching their work. Her golden eyes reflected the early sunlight. She had expected humans to be weak, slow, and careless, but now she knew the truth. Humans were clever, brave, and impossible to underestimate. Jack connected the last panel and tested the power systems. The ship responded immediately, lights glowing brightly, circuits humming smoothly. Ethan cheered quietly. "We did it, Dad. We really did it." Jack smiled and ruffled his son's hair. "We did it. Humans fix what others think is broken." "That's our way." Leora floated closer, studying the fully operational ship. She could feel the energy flowing steadily, responding to the humans' adjustments. It was a small miracle, and she knew it. "Humans," Leora said softly, almost to herself. "You are different from what I expected. You are not the strongest, not the fastest, but you are extraordinary. You never give up. You protect what matters. You fix what others abandon." Ethan beamed. "That's my dad. He can fix anything." Leora tilted her head, golden eyes thoughtful. She had been sent to judge humans, but now she understood something deeper. Humans were dangerous not because of power, but because of courage, determination, and loyalty. Jack walked over to Leora, adjusting a panel on the ship one last time. "We don't usually get visitors like this," he said, "but we fix problems when we can. It's just what humans do." Leora hovered carefully, studying him. "I have seen it. Humans solve problems that others give up on. Humans protect strangers without reward. Humans are remarkable." Ethan smiled. He had always known humans were special, but hearing it from Leora made him proud. They finished the last checks, and the ship glowed steadily in the sunlight. Leora floated closer to Ethan. "Thank you, boy," she said softly. Ethan's small hands held hers gently. "See, I told you. My dad can fix it." Leora tilted her head, a faint expression forming on her face that might have been a smile. She had never expected to feel gratitude toward humans. She had come to judge them, but she had learned something more important. Humans could inspire hope, trust, and courage in ways no other species could. Jack stepped back, satisfied. "The ship is ready," he said. "You can go home now, Leora." Safely, Ethan nodded, but his eyes were sad. "Will you come back?" he asked quietly. Leora looked at him, golden eyes soft. "I do not know, but I will tell my people about you, about humans. They must know the truth." Ethan smiled. He knew that humans had already made a mark on her mind and her world. Leora floated toward the ship's control panel, adjusting energy flows. The engines hummed, warm and steady. She looked at Jack and Ethan. "Your species, I have learned more than I expected. Humans are clever, brave, and loyal. Humans fix what others abandon. Humans protect strangers. Humans are worth respect." Ethan felt proud. "I told you, my dad never gives up." Jack smiled, watching Leora prepare to leave. He felt a quiet pride that humans had shown what they could do, even with nothing but patience, thought, and courage. The ship lifted slowly from the desert sand swirling beneath its glow. Ethan and Jack watched silently. Leora hovered for a moment, her golden eyes on the humans who had helped her survive, helped her repair her ship, and helped her see the truth about humans. "I will tell my people," she said softly. "Humans are not as they seem. Humans are strong in ways we never expected." Ethan waved, small hands high. "Goodbye, Leora, and be safe." Jack nodded. "And remember, humans fix what others cannot. Don't forget it." Leora tilted her head, a faint glow surrounding her. She felt hope, trust, and admiration for these humans she had met in the desert. As the ship rose into the sky, Ethan watched it disappear into the distance. "They'll listen, won't they?" he asked quietly. Jack put his hand on his son's shoulder. "They will. You showed her what humans can do. She will tell her people." Humans are clever, brave, and unstoppable when protecting what matters. Ethan nodded, smiling. He had learned that even small actions could change how others saw the world. Leora sent one last signal before leaving. A message to her council describing what she had seen. Humans were not the strongest or the fastest, but they were clever, resourceful, and brave. Humans fixed what others gave up on. Humans protected those they barely knew. Humans never gave up, and that made them dangerous and worthy of respect. Ethan felt proud knowing that the galaxy would now hear the truth about humans. Jack packed up the remaining tools and walked over to Ethan. "That's it, son. Our work here is done." Humans showed their strength today. Ethan looked at the empty desert, then up at the brightening sky. "I hope she remembers us," Jack smiled. "She will. Humans leave a mark even when they're small. Courage and cleverness are stronger than most think." Ethan nodded, happy and proud. The desert grew quiet again. The wind whispered over the sand, carrying the memory of what had happened. Leora's ship was gone, but the lesson remained. Humans were more than their size, speed, or weapons. They were clever, determined, and brave. They could fix the impossible and protect what mattered. The galaxy would remember this day. Ethan sat on a rock, looking at the stars as the night approached. Jack sat beside him, tired but satisfied. "You see, son," Jack said quietly, "humans do not need armies or advanced technology to be strong. All we need is courage, cleverness, and a refusal to give up." Ethan nodded, eyes bright. "I understand now. Humans really are special." Jack smiled and patted his son's shoulder. "Yes, son, humans are special in ways no one can measure. Never forget it." The night sky over the desert was full of stars, quiet and peaceful. Ethan lay back, looking at the sky, imagining all the worlds Leora would tell about humans. He thought of the adventures she would describe, the way humans could protect, adapt, and survive. Jack watched his son, proud of the courage and trust he had shown. Together, they had changed one alien's mind and maybe the galaxy's view of humans forever. And in the quiet desert with the stars shining above, Ethan whispered softly, "My dad can fix it, and humans can do anything." Jack smiled quietly, knowing it was true. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. The night continued, calm and quiet, but the lesson remained. Humans were clever, brave, and unstoppable when they cared enough to act. They had fixed what others thought impossible, and in doing so had earned respect from a faraway alien world. Ethan closed his eyes, proud and happy, knowing that the small acts of courage and skill today would echo across the stars. The desert lay silent under the starlight, holding the memory of humans who never gave up, who fixed the impossible, and who protected what mattered most. The galaxy would never forget this lesson, and neither would Ethan Cole, the boy who believed in his dad and in the power of humans to do the extraordinary.